Being such an agent of pop culture, naturally many of the ship's appearances in our media have been for comedic purposes. And it's not just silly YouTube videos like this. Late-night animated comedies have had a field day parodying the Titanic. For example, you have this Futurama episode where the Planet Express crew all board the space cruiser known as the Titanic, and then of course on the ship's maiden voyage they hit a black hole and then are all forced to jettison in the escape pods, even though there aren't enough for everyone. Then of course you have this episode of Rick and Morty, where Jerry is obsessed with this Titanic retreat that recreates the accident so that people in failing marriages can rekindle the romance by recreating Jack and Rose's final moments.
Sir, there's not a problem.
What do you mean, there's not a problem?
The guidance system isn't putting us on a direct collision course. This ship is about to completely miss the giant iceberg.
Well, do something!
And then sometimes shows will just give you a little wink to the disaster, like in this South Park episode when the kids begin playing Nearer My God to Thee as the town is almost engulfed by a giant firework snake. And yes, I do realize that a lot of the satire is poking fun at the James Cameron version specifically, but it's still a parody of the disaster. A parody of Saving Private Ryan would still technically be a parody of World War II. They're still making jokes at the tragedy's expense. So what factors contribute to a tragedy being used for comedic purposes? Well, the golden rule is usually that comedy equals tragedy plus time. So was it simply the century that passed that caused all this parodying to start? Or maybe we can just give all the blame to James Cameron and his schmaltzy version of the tale. While those are both contributing factors, I think the main reason is the very nature of the disaster. So many of the horrific events in our history were done on purpose. They were perpetuated by choices and evil intentions. Titanic was just an accident, true and true. The nature of what happened and the lack of evil intent is what makes parodying the Titanic so harmless. Not saying that shows like Family Guy haven't made jokes about events like 9/11 or the atomic bomb on Japan, but what we don't get with those jokes are the intense visuals. Titanic parodies are almost always accompanied by the visuals. It is impossible to predict what the comedic landscape will be like in another 100 years, but I truly believe that the nature of an event is a much larger factor in its potential to be parodied than how much time has passed.